My name is Samantha and I'm known here on YouTube as the Huga Stitcher. Welcome to my home here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and welcome to my mid-year WIP parade. I haven't done one of these in over a year, and it was a big process putting everything together for this episode, but I'm really excited. As I was preparing for this, I had brought out all of my project bags and gone through everything, and it's just getting me really excited to look at all of my projects and also get inspired to stitch on them. There's some really beautiful projects here, and I wanted to do something a little different. I had thought in the past I've done WIP parades where I will go from the oldest work in progress to the newest work in progress, or the other way around. And this time I thought it would be fun to do a WIP parade where I start from my oldest work in progress and then go back and forth, like oldest to my newest, and then just keep going until we meet in the middle. And that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna jump right in, and I'm gonna go to my oldest work in progress. This is a project that I started August 2021. This is Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. Very, very popular chart that many of you have in your collection. You've seen many floss tubers over the years purchase this chart and stitch it. It is a huge design and a lot of fun. Yeah, after I do this one, I have others in my collection here of other Hawk Run Hollows that I want to do, but I want to get a little bit farther along on this one. So here it is. This is on 40 count Legacy by Picture This Plus. And what you will see, there are, the first 4 blocks on the top completely done, and moved on to block number 5. And you'll notice here that this section right here is my favorite part in the design. And I'm, the next step that I take on this, do I jump to the middle? I don't know. I usually like to keep my favorite part of the design for last, but it could be kind of fun to do. Or I might jump across and do this block here and work my way down and save the middle for last, but we'll see. I haven't decided yet. This has not come out yet for 2025. I haven't stitched on it in a few years now, and it's time. I typically like to stitch on Halloween during the summer months. Near the end of summer, I get really excited about Halloween stitching. And what am I gonna do, everyone? Should I jump to those witches? And the cauldron in the middle looks so fun to stitch. Or I could stitch those pumpkins with the scarecrow, or make my way down and do these, this one here with the mummy and the vampire. This is such a fun stitch. So this is my oldest WIP. So a lot of my projects that I had prior to 2021, I used to be one of those stitchers who would buy a project, stitch on it until it was done. So anything prior to 2021 has been completed. I have a stack of finishes that need to be framed, and I'm just slowly going through them and waiting for the right time to bring them out and get them framed. So Halloween, Hawk Run Hollow, this will be epic one day. Stitched and hung on the wall. All right, I have to kind of find a place to put all these as I'm going through them. You should see my tables. It's been a lot of fun setting up. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to my newest start. I started this in May 2025. If I can get the bag open, there we go. This is my very first chatelaine. This is called the Frosty Nut Garden. There it is. This was a wonderful gift from a viewer. Her name is Beth, and she treated me to some of her charts that were in her collection. And I had never done a chatelaine before, and she had gifted me quite a few of these that had, the bead pack and the chart. And I was dying to get one of these started this year. And I finally kitted it all up with, you know, the silks and the DMC and everything I would need and the fabric. And I got to start. It's not a very large start, but, you know, excited to say that I have a chatelaine as a WIP. Here it is. Beautiful. I really do love the colors in this design. The picture on the front of the chart doesn't do it justice. I've seen pictures of this done on Instagram and on Facebook, and it's beautiful. And looking at the colors that I have kitted up here, there is a lot of like icy blue, and then there's like purples and teals, lots and lots of beautiful colors and some really beautiful silks. And this first start that I got to use some of those new silks that I've never used before, like Dinky Dyes and Gloriana's. Yeah, I'm just really excited, and I got to use some Petite Treasure braid. There's lots of colors in there. This is an exciting project, and it's not the only time you're gonna see this one come out this year. I am planning to, you know, it's new, so I want to bring it out, you know, every month and stitch on it a little bit more, just to get that first, you know, that shape in there. This is a small start, but I want to see more of the design come together and get going on this and get to some of those fun stitches. Okay, so now we're going to go back to one of my older WIPs. I'm going to show you, oh, I should say I am skipping my Christmas stitches because I plan to bring out all of my holiday stitching in July. So I saved all of those ones out of the WIP parade, and we'll do them in July, not too long away, a month away. So we can hang out for that. So the next one I have here is Zodiac by Tiny Modernist. This was a stitch along a few years back. And every month they came out with a new chart. You know, first you could download the border, and then every month they came out with a new design. And as this was coming out in the stitch along, every time I saw a new chart released, I was like, oh, I think I should probably get this. And I saw stitchers stitch on this, and I was watching and waiting to see if I could find the perfect fabric for this. And I had decided to stitch this on a 40 count, picture this plus, called Gothic. And it really gives it that universe, outer space look where you see dark black, you see purple and pink and blue. It's absolutely stunning. And the gold colors that are stitched in this really, really pop off of the fabric. I love this stitch. Recently, I have been working on the border. There's a lot of stitching, that border is big, and I'm just trying to get through it. Last year, I had decided to go ahead and stitch all the circles. And then I was deciding, okay, you know what, maybe I should do a little bit of border before I do some more, some more of the Zodiac signs. So I'm looking forward to bringing this out again in 2025 and get some more of the border done, and possibly another sign. As we approach, you know, some of these signs that are coming up in the year, like Cancer and Leo, Scorpio, I want to stitch on them during the time that it's going on in the year. Also, the star and the moon, I could jump to that at any time. So looking forward, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'm looking forward to getting some more progress done on that one as well. Okay, so this is Teresa Wentzler, Tradewinds, one of my newer starts. I started this in April 2025. I plan to stitch on this more this summer. This is going to be a summer stitch for me. I will bring it out throughout the year, but really, I want to stitch a mermaid. I want to get to that boat, and there's dolphins up at the top. This is so fun. And out of all of the Teresa Wentzler designs that I have, I feel like this is the easiest one. The chart, like, I mean, there's a lot to a Teresa Wentzler, but the chart is quite easy to read, and it has a really great border that's simple to follow. So I'm just excited about that. I feel like it's going to be a little bit easier compared to some of my other ones that you will see later on throughout this video. But this is where I am on my brand new start. I had decided to do some border stitching. This is stitched on, I believe, a 32 count antique white linen. So I think the next time I pick this up, I am gonna do some more border before I jump into some of those beautiful blue colors. I would love to be able to get across the whole top and get that shape of this top border in down to the sides. That would be really great before I start stitching some of the colors. I think it would be fun to kind of jump around on this chart. If I get the frame in, majority of the frame, you know, I could even do the frame that outlines the alphabet too, and I could jump around in this design. That could be really fun. So we'll see where it goes. I have a love for Teresa Wentzler and all of her designs. So I'm just excited to have another one started in my collection and gonna be a part of my WIPs. Okay, so the next oldest WIP I have, this is Muka, and I started her May 2022 by Mirabilia. If you've watched my recent Flosstube a couple weeks ago, I was working on Muka. She's one of my favorite stitches. So you've seen this recently, but what a great opportunity to bring out all of my WIPs in progress and share with you all kind of my stitching journey and my variety of stitches. You will notice I have a lot of Mirabilia. It's where my obsession of cross stitch started, and I have a lot of WIPs. And I truly love a Nora Corbett design. She has a gift with color. She's an artist, but she has a really unique way that she charts her designs. I think it has a lot to do with how she, like her process. And she has described this before about how it goes from her hands and her artwork, because it gets painted first. And then when she goes to actually chart it, it is a hand-drawn chart. So she uses symbols that I think she uses symbols that are easy for her to distinguish between the colors. So she'll use like a really dark symbol, like a black square. A black square would be something that would be like, you know, these dark colors. And then she would have like a lighter brown color, and that symbol would be something that sort of distinguish, you know, a little bit lighter. I don't know how to explain it, but if you are a Mirabilia stitcher, you get it. You understand what I'm trying to say, because the way that she designs is easy to look at. Like, I could open up one of her charts and immediately know how I'm going to stitch it. You know, I'm going to use those darker symbols first to outline some shape, and then the colors just get lighter and lighter. Like, look at her dress. This would be a symbol that would be darker, and then it goes a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter. There's 3 different colors of green in there. And that's where she does, look at the brown, same thing. That's how she does it. And it's really enjoyable to stitch this way as well. So going from her hand-drawn chart to my hands to stitching, she calls it like hand to hand, you know, the way that she designs and the experience that the stitcher has as they're going through the chart. I love Muka. She's so fun. Oh, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share these with you all. This is a lot of fun for me. So next up is another Nora Corbett. I started Rogue Dragon in April 2025, one of my newer starts. Love this one. This is from her Patreon, that anybody can go to Patreon and look up Nora Corbett. And this is a chart that you can purchase right from her her site and get. You don't have to join the Patreon to get the chart. And this is where I am on Rogue Dragon. I have this one on my my stand. I typically use a Lowry stand and a Q-snap to stitch. This was something that I had found in a thrift store a few months back, and this is the first project I've ever stitched on it. And I have the scroll bars and the fabric like attached to them. and I love having something that's always out and ready to be able to stitch. And this was something that I have decided, like when I'm stitching in my bed, this is a great project. It sits on the top of my bed comfortably, and it's super easy to stitch from. Look at the colors of Rogue Dragon. Isn't she amazing? This is a 28 count linen. I believe it's called Blush. It's so beautiful. I want to stitch on this today, right now. This is so good. Yes, so fun. So fun. All right, we'll keep going. It's gonna be a long video, I think. The next one that I have here, this is another Teresa Wentzler. It is called Lily Maiden, and I started this in June of 2022. My very first Teresa Wentzler. This is what started. I believe I was watching Flosstube and found others who loved Teresa Wentzler designs, and I had gone to Lizzie B's, the local needlework shop, and did a search like, do we have any Teresa Wentzlers? And this was in the shop, and I scooped it up and kitted it up and haven't regretted it. I have been starting to, you know, collect all the charts and stitch all the things. So here we go. Here's my progress on that one. I believe this is stitched on, it's either a 28 count Lugana, but it might be antique white or just plain white. I can't remember. I wish I had written that down. You know what? I'm just going to take a look and see what the chart had called for, because typically that's what I do. I typically grab the color that it suggests. And I wonder if it says it 28 count antique white. And I had gone with Lugana. I really enjoy stitching a Lugana fabric with a Teresa Wentzler because the stitching, you know, it's an even weave, right? So every stitch is exactly the same, and there are a lot of there's a lot of blending thread. So you have two different colors of DMC together. There's that, but there's also a lot of what do you call them, like quarter stitches, where you're, you know, in between this wing and these green, there's a lot of half stitches, I call them, where you're like half of the color on the X is this one, and then on the top half of the X, there's a different color. So there's a lot of that throughout the design and inside this inner border, and it gives it all of that extra detail. It's really fun. Once I get more of the back stitching in, you'll be able to see some of that really amazing detail. There we go. Okay, one of my newer starts. This one is a start from last year. This is called Firefly Fairies by Lavender and Lace. This is a fun stitch. And looking at it today, this is really hard, because looking at all of these patterns, I want to stitch on this again. I have stitched on this in 2025, but I'm dying to get the third color in. I've done a little start on the pink and red and some of the navy blue, but I'd like to get that third fairy in there, because I want to see where the shape of this fabric that I have chosen is really beautiful. I believe it's called Firefly by Oak Crown Studio, which is Amy's company, hand dyeing company, fiber arts Amy. And when she had come up with the idea for this linen, she had this chart in mind. There are a lot of people out there that try to get that starburst, star effect, where you see each fairy is holding a wand that lights up and is looking ahead. And some people in the past, like there's in the chart, it shows you, it gives you information on how you could use bleach to bleach your fabric to get that effect. And Amy came up with a great idea without having to use any bleach, just by using dye and the way that she processes it to give it that really fun starburst effect. And the chart also gives you sort of like a part in the design where you can lay it on your fabric to really see where the firefly wands are gonna go. And you know, that's what I did. I could have cut this out, but I didn't. I just sort of laid it on top of the fabric and kind of was like, around here. So far I'm really happy with where the two fairies have landed, but I would love to get that third one in there with the wand and some of the green color. And then I can bounce around on the design. I could work on the red fairy or the blue fairy or the green one and just go around and make great progress all around. It'd be really fun. And I think this is going to be one of my ultimate top favorite. I have a couple of them. One of them up there is Zodiac, which you just saw. I think that's going to be one of my all-time favorite completed stitches when it's done one day. This is a close second. It has a lot to do with the fabric choice. This one very similar too, you know, where you've got those navy blues and purples in the design, in the fabric. This one, you know, kind of reminds me a little bit of outer space too, you know, with those colors. And that's what I'm drawn to. A lot of the fabric choices that I've made in the past have been very simple, or a lot of the times I will choose the called for fabric, and I'm trying to venture out and try new things, and this gets me really excited to stitch on. Really, really fun. Okay, next up, one of my older projects. This is Dutch Beauty. I started in August for my birthday start in 2022. And I am stitching Dutch Beauty on a 40 count linen vintage country Muka. And here is my start on this one. I recently brought this out last month and made some great progress, and getting it fresh out on my Q-snap has really got me excited to stitch on this again this year. I think this is going to be amazing. So the last time I had worked on this, I had worked in this section here, and I'm wanting to get down. I have the border, a little bit more of the border to do, and some of the flowers, I've done some, but I need to complete the rest of them. And then I want to start working on the bouquet of flowers. I think that's going to be so fun to stitch. And this one here, oof, that's going to be good. It's like a tulip plant. Really beautiful. Dutch Beauty. Birthday start. You know, a lot of people do, like, when, you know, your birthday, you could, like, every month on your birthday date, you could bring this out and stitch on it. And it's something I'm thinking about doing maybe for 2026. This year in 2025, I'm working on a stocking, and I'm doing it on the 25th of every month. And it's really fun when you have a project like that. You know exactly where you are. It's fresh in your mind. You work on it every month and make some great progress in seeing the pattern come together. And I think I would like to do that for 2026 with this stitch, to make some great progress on Dutch Beauty, because it's a large stitch. Okay, so to some of my newer, onto my newer one. This is a design work kit. What is this one called? Ice Fairy. And this was my second Joan Elliot stitch. The first one that I had decided to do was a Santa. So you will see that in my July stitching for Christmas. Bring that one out again. That one's really fun too. I am stitching this one on a 32 count Lugana called Silver Moon, which I think is the perfect fabric for the colors in here. This is where I am so far. And I would love to collect some more Joan Elliot. I am really enjoying them. They remind me a lot of a Mirabilia, but you know, with a Joan Elliot twist. I find that she uses 3 colors. Like if she's doing purple, it's 3 colors of purple. There's like the dark, the medium, and the light. And when she does blue, same thing, or teal. And going through the chart and the design, I'm like, that's very simple and fun to stitch when you are starting your color and you're at the top and you work your way down with one strand of that color and then go back up to the top and use the light or the medium. It's really, really fun to stitch that way. And I'm excited for the next part of this stitch. There's a couple things I could do. I could get her skin and her face, like her shoulders and her face in there and her hair, so that you could start to see her. That is something I probably will do. But I'm excited to start this, this part of her dress. The way that it's shaped, I think will be really fun to do. Same with down here. It's interesting, and the colors, like I don't have any of these like green colors in there yet, so that will be fun to do. And down at the bottom, there are some really adorable bunnies throughout her dress on the ground there. So cute. Oops. Her wings look fun to do. Like this is going to be a fun stitch. So I'm looking forward to getting this out again and stitching on it. Okay, next up. This is an older work in progress. This is Stargazer. I started in October 2022. And she is almost done. I think she's gonna get a finish in 2025. The next time I am excited to bead, I'm bringing her out because she's fully stitched. Here she is. I'm stitching her on, I believe, the called for fabric. It is a 32 count. Here I think it's called amber, or toasted almond, which I believe is like the older name of the color of fabric. I think it's called amber now. Or maybe those 2 colors are very close to each other and one of them is no longer available. But she's beautiful. You can see I need to do all of her beading. All those holes there in her dress. The one cool thing about this that I've noticed in the design, in the pattern, is because of these darker colors up here, all the beads that are used through here are the same, but they go along with the top part of her dress. And all the beads that are in this section are a different color, which will be really easy, like easy to do. You just grab your, look at all these spaces. They'll just be zip, zip, zip. The one challenging part, I believe, when I come to beading her will be the beads that are up in the sky, all the stars, because there's nothing to anchor it. Like in here, you can anchor your floss and bead, tie it off when you need to, but in here you start close to her body and then you go out and you go into nowhere and bead one bead at a time. So there's a lot of counting and double checking, and you have to be careful when you're anchoring your beads and tying that thread off at the end. So there's a lot of that throughout. There's some at the back of her, but then a lot going this way. And once I get some of the beads going, there is a little bit of stitching up here. There's a little bit of white DMC and possibly a couple other colors, maybe some Krynic. No, I don't think there's any Krynic in here. Just different colored beads and possibly 1 or 2 colors of stitching, but you have to get out there first. I think that's how I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm going to count all the way up and then put the stitching in. I think I will do the beading and then do that little bit of stitching up at the top. But other than that, she's done. She's ready. So I have to be in the right mood. I do enjoy beading, but this is going to be a big undertaking to complete all of those beads. And then I'm going to want to frame her. She is one of my all-time favorites. I had, before I had started Flosstube, I had maybe 3 or 4 Mirabilia charts, and I had, they were my favorites. Stargazer, Muka, and Mermaid of Pearls, which I have completed, and she's framed on the wall here. Those were my 3 like all-time favorite stitches. And yeah, I'm just excited to get them done and get them up on the wall one day. Fun. But Stargazer, she's next. Okay, so on to one of my newer works in progress. This is a Nora Corbett design. This one's called Gigi. And Gigi is a part of the Bewitching Pixies. I have 6 of them, I believe, that I'm stitching from the collection. There are many Bewitching Pixies. They've gone through, I think, 2 or 3 different sets. Usually Nora Corbett will do like a set of 6, and she's done quite a few of them. But this was one of the first Nora Corbett Pixies, the Bewitching Pixie series. Gigi, I fell in love with her colors. The broom is amazing. I can't wait to get to the broom. When I'm stitching it, it has a lot of cry neck and beads throughout the broom. And I also love the little black cat in the design and her witchy hat. Like I love them. They're so good. I'm stitching them all on the called for 32 count milk chocolate linen. And here I am on Gigi. So when I started this design, I started right at the top, and I started with her hat and her black hair, did her stitching in her skin, and started the black stitching the outline of her dress. And that you can see some of the stick of the broom. There's a lot more black stitching in this, more over on this side. That is her dress. Kind of like a cape that kind of, or behind second part of her dress you see there, that's sort of flowing. So I haven't got any of those stitches in yet. Maybe a little bit, but there's way more to do. But a lot of fun. I may not stitch on this again until the fall. She's an easy stitch. There's a lot of 310 in this, but she's quite easy to do. Really fun. It'd be fun to get some of those blue colors in there, and maybe even get the broom. That would be fun to do as well. Okay, on to one of my older projects. This is another Mirabilia. Told you there's quite a few in here in this lineup. This is Rapunzel. She was a January 1st start for me in 2023. Love. Now that I'm thinking about it, this was a chart that I had in my collection. Like I was saying, I had Stargazer and Mermaid of Pearls. This was also one of those charts. I love Rapunzel because of her, you know, the fairy tale of the story, and also her really long, beautiful braid. I kind of miss my braid. I've been growing out my hair again. I cut it last year, and I enjoy having shorter hair, and I've been tempted to go back and do it again. But I'm like dying to get like a nice little bun again, or to do the side braid, but it's not quite long enough yet. So I'm almost there. So I don't know what to do. It's summer's approaching, and that's the time of year that I like to go a little bit shorter. So we'll see what happens. But I miss having a braid. I love this design. So here I am on Rapunzel. I made really great progress on her. She's coming along. I'm stitching her on a 32 count Witchelt. I believe it's called Sapphire. Star Sapphire Linen by Witchelt, which is the called for. See, I do a lot of that. I do a lot of the called for fabric. She's one of those designs though that, like, look at the color, how it pops off of this linen. It looks so good. And yes, she would look epic on a fabric that's got beautiful modeling and that too. But I actually prefer the called for on this design. I think it's stunning, so beautiful. I'll give you a little bit of a closer look here at her face. I have backstitched. That's fun to do. I have backstitched the top part of her hand, her arm, but not the bottom arm. I haven't done that one yet. There's still some more stitching to do around her hand. I might be done, but there might be some, I've left spaces in her hair. Oh my gosh. It has Krynic beads, bugle beads, flowers, like crystal, what do you call those? Like the treasures, little flower treasures all through her hair. There is so much to it. You can see at the top, like with the flowers that are stitched, but there are like treasures that will go in there. Her hair is going to be epic. It's so good. So yeah, I'm not sure like throughout here if there's Krynic here. And if there is just Krynic, then I can get that in, and then I will backstitch her hands. The beading I can do after, but I prefer to do all the stitching around the skin first before I backstitch. I think that's pretty standard. Most people do that. Let's come along, Rapunzel. Yeah, she's so pretty. I feel like that's a great like spring, new year. Probably why I started it in January of 2023. It's like fresh, you know, you're waiting for spring to come and all the new colors, and she's a really fresh design. Okay, next up. Going back to one of my older works in progress, we are now at Autumn Quaker by Leela Studio that I started in September 2024. This is a stitch along. It's called Autumn is as Joyful Sal on Instagram. Love. This is my newest stitch along that I started last year for the Leela Studio Quakers, and it's the one I have the least amount of progress on. So I would love this, you know, late August. Maybe even I want to do for the first day of autumn in September to get a good chunk of this done. So I can feel like I've made some more progress, you know, you see more of the design come together. Like I've done quite a bit. This is stitched on a 32 count linen, or even weave. I believe it's called Platinum, which I thought was a really great color for that fall look. Oops, it's upside down. You guys are all like, hey, it's upside down. Took me a while to notice. There we go. But I have made some great progress on this, but I would love to get some more, I don't know, should I do more on this side, or should I stretch across and get more of the medallions across the top, make my way down again and then across to kind of give it that outline shape? Maybe. Or I might go in here. This is like calling me. This big medallion here is missing. Have I done that one? No, this one here and this one here. You can see the spaces of where they're supposed to go. So I'd love to get that in. We'll see, but look at how fun these colors are. The fall leaves. I love how Leela Studio incorporates black stitching into her design, but not too much, like just the right amount. You know, you look at this, you can see a little bit of black. She does them with all of her Quakers, just the right amount of black stitching and little bit element, like just a tiny little bit of a Halloween in there. So there's the little witch's hat here, and you'll find like some pumpkins and black crows or a black owl, but majority of this is like, okay, you got a turkey in there and all of the, you know, the pumpkin patch. And I love how she does this too. This one has the letters that are spelt out in here are autumn and also fall. I love that. And I'm not sure if this design, oh no, it is in there. I love it when she does this. She leaves a spot where you can put your initials, and you see by the moose here, there's initial. I believe those are her mom's initials in the design. And it gives you a spot where you can put your initials in the design, which is really fun. I love it when stitchers do that. When they, you know, after they're done a piece, they will put their name or their initials or the year they had stitched it. I love it. I have yet to do that with any of my stitches, but I want to. And I think the part that I get stuck on is actually like charting out or just freehanding. I don't know how people do it. You know, I need to find like a little tiny, because I don't want it to be large. I want it to just be like very small, and I love it when people find like a unique spot to put it where it's not just down in the corner, you know, not just down there. It would be somewhere in the stitch where you don't really notice it unless you're looking for it, or if you do give a close look and you find it, it's like, oh wow, they put their initials in there. But I'm just scared to do that without following a chart. And that's why I love that Leela's Studio puts a spot for you to personalize it and put your initials in there. I love that she does that. Okay, so next up, we're gonna go to one of my older starts. This is Jane Hopkins, 1875 by Hands Across the Sea, which I started in April 2023. I had bought this chart a couple years ago and had been in my collection for a while before I had, you know, got brave and started it. But I have really wanted to get like a Hands Across the Sea in my collection and to have a few more maybe as time goes on. But this was, you know, as I was going through and watching Flosstube and watching Brenda and Laura, the serial starter, and you know, what they stitch on, I was really trying to educate myself with what the charts look like, which one I would want to do, and this one jumped out at me because it gives me that perfect element of, like, there's some block stitching in here, which I love doing, like with my Mirabilia experience. Like, I love a good, you know, block colored stitching. So this doesn't intimidate me. But I'm not really a huge fan of alphabet, you know, where some samplers will have a lot of alphabet in it or quotes and things like that. So this one doesn't have that at all. The only thing that it has is Jane Hopkins down at the bottom. So, and does it have the year? Yes, and it also has the year 1875. So I could do that. That's no problem. And I love the colors of this. This is beautiful. And the strawberry border, so good. So the only challenging thing for me is the linen that I decided to do. This is a 46 count linen called Latte by Fiber on Whim. And it's gorgeous. But it's a little challenging for me to do because I'm used to 32, and I'm using one strand of floss, one strand of DMC over 2 linen threads. And this is where I've got to so far. I started right in the middle of the design and completed that first rows like instantly. And now I've been working on some of the greenery, the green leaves, and getting close to being able to start. Right over here is another big rose, and up, or I could move up. There's another jumbo rose on this side, or I could move up and do this beautiful flower too. And I'm actually close. I could even start the shape of the vase is right here. You can see that beginning opening and then it starting to go down. So I could do the vase too. So there's lots I could do on this. Or I could stretch out a little bit farther. This flower here, there's another rosebud. So I could get to that and then get to the border. Oh, I love this design. This is so good. I have to force myself to bring it out more often because it does, like I said, it's challenging for me, so I have to be in the right mood. But I feel like when I bring it out and I put it on the Q-snap and just start getting the thread out, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, it's not that bad. You know, it's challenging, but it's not that bad once you have like, you know, this time of year, the sun is out longer, so you have more sunshine in the evening, that you can get some more stitching done and bring out your magnification and away you go. Like, look at how small the stitches are on this. Ooh, just these little itty bitty teeny tiny mini stitches. And again, this is going to be one of those stitches that when it's done, it's going to be one of the ones that I'm the most proud of, you know, like one of those ones that is going to be an absolute stunner on the wall. Wow. Got to get back to that one. Okay, one of my newer starts. This is another dragon. Last year was Year of the Dragon, and I had done a stitch along and started a few dragon patterns, and it sort of have started this obsession of like collecting dragon charts. When I see a dragon, I'm like, ooh, I want to stitch it. This is Fire and Ice Dragon by Nora Corbett, her Patreon. This came out last summer, and when I saw this, I was like, yep, this is just a draw, like her painting of the chart, not the actual picture of it stitched. So it's very rough, but this is what it looks like. And when I saw it, I was like, yes, it's got the wings spread out. You see the dragon tail, you have the dragon, you know, claws, but look at the face of the dragon. Ah, it's so good. I decided to stitch this on Lugana. I can't remember what's the color. It was a 32 count green Lugana. I thought would look good with a green dragon. And I love the way that green and purple look so awesome together. So here you can see the dragon face. There is some sparkly kreinik. Oh, I hope you can see it throughout the dragon. Oh, it's very faint, but it's such a pretty element to the dragon. It's like not the outer scales, but the inner scales have some iridescent to it. Really, really beautiful. And then I really enjoyed stitching these purple, what do you call those? Like the spiky part of the dragon all the way around. Every time I got to a new one, I was like, yes, love that color on this fabric. And I've got the shape on the loop in the tail. Next up, I want to get the shape of the wings in there. And throughout the wings, there's lots of sparkly kreinik in there. It's gonna be fun to do. And there's more to the top of the head of the dragon. It's gonna be fun. Lots of beads, lots of fun. I love this stitch. This one's a lot smaller, you know, in size compared to my other dragon. But mind you, I don't have the wings in this yet, so that will add, you know, space onto the linen, or the Lugana, and take up more space and look a little bigger. But I really think the other Rogue Dragon is much, much bigger. Higher stitch count, like higher stitches. Okay, back to one of my older works in progress. This is 2020 Pandemic Sampler. I started in May 2023. This is designed by Sarcy Girl. She is local to me here in Winnipeg, and I've met her a few times. She's amazing. She's an amazing designer. I love this sampler. I'm dying to get more of this done. And I have another chart by her that is like more of a Halloween stitch. It's like called Grimm's Garden. And I'm like dying to get that one kitted up and stitched, because I feel like many of you haven't seen it like stitched up and people stitching it. And it is very cool the way that Sarcy Girl has designed like the berry bowls, and she's just like, she's very, very creative. And this was one of the first ones that she had designed and was very popular in 2020. It was a free chart, and actually still is a free chart that you can download. And because she's so kind and generous, she likes to, she puts in here, like when you download the pattern, like you can donate to one of the charities that she had suggested, or a charity that you love, and pick up the pattern for free. How amazing. Okay, so let me show you my stitch. I had a hard time deciding, do I want to stitch it on a dark charcoal colored fabric, or do I want to go like more of a traditional sampler, you know, beige color? And I went back and forth. And then I came across this picture, this plus, I believe it's called Ancient. And it is a beige fabric, but it has these elements of like navy blue, kind of like a charcoal gray throughout the design, which I really, really love, and thought it was a good compromise. And I love it. It's stitched with silk. It was a silk pack that was made by Mississauga Silks for this design. Because it's charted with DMC, Mississauga Silks has a conversion, and they're absolutely beautiful to stitch with. So last time I picked this up, I had reached up to the border, which was very fun to stitch. I loved it. So I'm excited to get back to do more of it. There's a crow on this side, and I believe there's one on the other that I'd like to get into. And also I'm missing something, you know, on this side. There's a deer on this side. And the other side's a beehive, a bee skip that I'd like to get to. And then I would love to get to one of the houses because there's a lot of stitching in both of them. It would be kind of fun to get the shape of the house in and do a little fill-in sometimes, or to stitch all the windows and the door. And when you're feeling up to it, just pick it up and do some fill-in stitching, which is really fun to do too. But if you look through this design, there's so many fun elements. She's got a rooster and an owl. Very original. There's a fox in there. Look at how cute they are. The peacock down at the bottom. Like, it has that element of, you know, this is on this side and on this side too. And she's got an urn with flowers on this side, but also on that side, but they're different. And I love that. You know, I see some samplers where it's like you stitch everything twice, you know, once on this side and maybe it's flipped the other direction, like a crow over here and a crow on this side. They might be exactly the same, but just facing a different direction. And I think I would get bored of something like that, where it's like, I've already stitched this, I don't want to stitch it again, you know? And she does a great job of making it similar, but different. Like even these ones, these are similar, but different. Yeah, great designer. I would love to get back to this again and stitch on it some more. It's so good. So many projects. I don't want to complain about that because I've worked really hard to build up my collection and have variety and different seasons to stitch through. I've worked really hard to give that, you know, as you're seeing and watching this today, you'll notice the different stitches that I have. You can see the love for Mirabilia, but you can also see that I'm trying to branch out and try samplers and a Teresa Wentzler and a Chatelaine, and, you know, to venture out and try new things and new designers. Leela's studio, like, I'm trying. And also just to get different experiences and have a variety of different stitches that I'll be able to hang on my wall one day, right? And a different variety of stitching throughout the seasons. Like, it's springtime, I want to stitch on flowers, and for Mother's Day I want to stitch on, you know, something that's like Jane Hopkins with the beautiful bouquet of roses and you know, things like that. And same with this next one. This is a lavender and lace. It is the Spring Angel. So I have a couple of lavender and lace charts and a little bit of a collection growing. There are some Santa Clauses that I have in my collection that I would love to do. I've been thinking a lot about them and thinking about kitting them up and maybe starting this year, probably next year. Trying to space it out too so I don't have too many starts in one year. But this is a design that I'm very excited about, and I have collected all of the angels and of all the seasons. But this is my first one. Wow, this is so pretty. Oh my gosh, I've forgotten where I was on this. This is really pretty. Look at those colors. The last time I picked this up, I was working my way, like I started in the middle and I did a lot down here, but the last time I picked it up, I like reached up and stitched her face and also reached quite far down. So I have lots of options the next time I pick this up of where to go. You know, it'd be great to get her hair in and her arms in, so you can see where her hands go, and that beautiful, what would you call that? Is it like a harp? It almost looks like a violin, but I think it's a harp. Really beautiful. I love the colors. She's so gorgeous. Wow. I'm stitching this on, I believe it is a 32 count linen, possibly called Stony Point. Does that sound familiar? Well, I don't have the chart in front of me here. As I laid out all of my projects, I, you know, picked the picture on the fabric. So, but I do know it's a 32 count linen. And it's kind of like a bluey, yeah, steel kind of color. What do you think? This is so pretty. I love these designs, and I love how each angel has, you know, the different colors. Like these are very spring. The autumn one is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm thinking a lot about that one for next time. The winter one, it's like blue, ice, and white, like lots and lots of white. What season? Summer one has great colors too. So lots to think about, lots to dream about, lots to do, lots to stitch. Okay, here is an owl forest embroidery. This is one of my older works in progress. I had started this in May 2023. This one's called Treasure Island. And I think Treasure Island is gonna get a finish this year in 2025. Since the last time you've seen this, I have just recently, this past week, finished another section in Treasure Island. So I've got down to the bottom here. Last time I had worked on this part of the, reaching the bottom of the border and this pirate here. And this time I completed this part. And I believe this is part 15. The next part is part 16, where you'll see some palm trees and some more water and a dolphin throughout the water. A little bit more of sand on the bottom here, sand color. And I believe that is part 16, and then 17 is the parrot and the treasure chest that's right in the center here. So 2 parts left to do. I'm dying to finish this. I absolutely love Owl Forest embroidery. They're free stitch alongs. They're so fun to do. Really rewarding how they lay out the stitch along, where you get like one part at a time and you know where to go. They're easy. The charts are very easy to follow, know where to stitch, and fun colors, fun use of colors. The one part in this design that I thought I would be the most excited to stitch and had the least amount of fun was stitching this island in the center. I don't know why. It looks great, like I'm happy it's in there, but while I was stitching on it, I just wanted it to go. Maybe it's because it was such a large part. Each other section of the stitch along was very much just like stitch this pirate and this over here, you know. It was very just like I could finish it in like 2 days kind of thing, whereas the island in the center was a double release and it was large and it took a long time to do. Is it awesome? Yes. Love it. I love the ship. I love the treasure island up at the top, the way that the variegated floss looks. That's awesome. And it kind of goes along with the story, you know, the top of the chart, you know, the inn, and you know, the way that the story is laid out in the book. It very much like comes down to the bottom and you find the treasure at the very end. Like, it was just very, very fun to stitch in that order. And the different characters, when they were released in the book and talked about, they went in order. And I loved stitching this. This is called, a viewer had told me what it's called, because I was like, it's like a compass. I believe it's called a nautical rose. And I didn't know that, but I really loved stitching that part in the design. It's my favorite part, along with the ship. Like this, the color, the way that it's in there looks so cool. With this on the other side, you've got the wheel. This is awesome. 2025, I'm gonna get a finish. You should see this stack, oh my gosh. It can't fall over because it's on the ground, but it's quite, I'm on to my second part here, my other pile on this side. This is one of my newer stitches. Where are we now? This is a mermaid from Nora Corbett. It's a freebie chart. I started in August around my birthday last year, 2024. So this one doesn't have like a cover picture, but it's a free chart that you can download from the Mirabilia website. And it was from a retreat, 2017 Australian Mirabilia retreat. I love that little mermaid. She's gorgeous. I'm stitching it on a really fun fabric that was gifted to me last year or a few years ago from Sarah Lady Lugana. She had gone to a Mirabilia themed retreat with Fiber Arts Amy, the host, as well as Kitschy Whips Maggie. They had hosted their first Mirabilia retreat. I believe they're having their second this year. And Sarah had picked up this fabric from Grace Notes Fabrics. They had dyed it for Nora, named it Nora, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it was screaming for a mermaid to be stitched on it. And the color is gorgeous. It's a 36 count linen, and the mermaid is looking amazing on it so far. I can't wait to get to her tail and stitch more of that in and add all the bling. You know what, this is gonna be a quick stitch. I might finish this summer too, have it done for my birthday maybe, and get all those fun blingy gems and crystals in there. It's gonna be gorgeous. And I'm using all the called for colors. There are 2 water lily silk in her tail. You can see the 2 colors here. There's 1 color here and 1 over on this side. So her whole tail is stitched in silk, which is really, really fun. Yeah, can't wait to get back to that. Really fun little stitch, little freebie, those are good. Okay, here is Summer Quaker by Leela Studio. This is a stitch along that I hosted a few years ago. So I started Summer Quaker, August 2023. And this is a quite popular stitch. We're using the hashtag Live in the Sunshine Sal. As you'll see at the top, it says, live in the sunshine, swim in the sea, drink the wild air. What is not to love about this design? There's adorable crabs up at the top. Like, look at how Leela Studio, she does an amazing job with adding those elements into the medallions. That's so fun. There's lots to look at in this chart, and you notice just those little pops of black throughout the design. You've got a black crow, a little black to the stems of this, these flowers. They're kind of like carnations. And I love it when she does that. That's one of my favorite parts of the stitch. And throughout the design, you'll see the letters that spell out summer. And I'm just gonna take a peek. Is there a spot in here? Please tell me there is, where you can put your initials. I don't see it. But maybe I'm just not, you know, I'm on camera. So my eyes are going around the chart real fast, but I don't see that part in there, but that's okay. I do have the alphabeted charted in other charts that maybe I could find a spot where I could put it. Maybe remove one, you know, you could maybe take out one motif here and put it there, you know, if the space is correct, because I would love to do that. The center of this chart, huge. The scenery in this one, humongous. It's like 2 charts in one. I do know there are stitchers out there that fell in love with this and was like, but I'm not stitching the whole thing. And a lot of people have decided to stitch just the center piece of the design, which is beautiful on its own. You could do that. And maybe one day you decide to stitch, you know, you could stitch the whole center piece and then leave it on the fabric, don't touch it, And maybe in a few years down the road, you could, okay, now I'm gonna do the second part of it. That could be fun. Here's where I am. I'm stitching this on a 36 count linen. I believe it's called Sky Blue hand dyed by Rolanda. And it matches my other fabric for Spring Quaker that I just finished. Same designer, fabric designer. This one's a light blue though. So there were many different choices that a lot of people chose, like the beachy colored sand linen, and it looks gorgeous. I could see myself, you know, doing that too, but I had this fabric and it was like the exact same size as my Spring Quaker. And I was just like, I had this in my collection with no purpose to it, you know, like it was just sitting there and I had nothing that I was going to stitch on it one day with. So I just knew like I had to do summer Quaker on this. And I think it turned out so far amazing. Like the way that the crabs, the color of those crabs pop off the fabric. And I think with the boat and, you know, the lighthouse, it looks like a blue sky. That's so fun. This summer, I'm going to bring this out again on the first day of summer, June 20th. I'm going to sort of reignite the stitch along. It has been a couple of years when I started it, and there are lots of people out there who have started this stitch, not finished it yet. And it'll kind of give it a reboot of the stitch along. I'm going to stitch on it for the first day of summer, June 20th, and for the whole weekend. It's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to post my progress on Instagram, and I hope you'll join me. If you have this chart in your collection and you want to stitch it and want to get it started, first day of summer is the perfect excuse to get it out and get a start. If you are someone who bought this chart in 2023 and have completed it, bring it out for the first day of summer and share your finish on Instagram with us and get all of us, you know, hyped up. Keep going, keep stitching. It's amazing. Have a lot of fun. This is an amazing stitch, and I'm excited to get back to it. I'm stitching it with the called for DMC and all 2/2. So you get this really beautiful plush stitching on the 36 count linen. Really, really pretty. Where to go next? I'm really wanting to get the 4 corners of this stitch done and the green border throughout the center, just to get the shape in there. Because this one I do jump around, I do a little bit in the middle, a little bit on the outside, a little bit in the middle, and just keep going so that the middle seam doesn't get too tiresome. Because the outer medallions go a lot faster, come together a lot quicker, and are fun to see, like on the fabric come together. So I like to jump around on this one. Okay. Next up, this is a newer start from last year. This is my very first Heaven and Earth design. I started in July 2024. And when I say started, I was gifted this chart by Sarah Lady Lugana. She had started, like, kitted this up and had a start on it, and then she gifted it to me. And so for me, it was a start in July 2024, but it already had been started by Sarah. I absolutely love this. And I was actually just watching, oh gosh, wonder if I can't remember the name of the floss tuber I was watching this morning, who had this as a WIP and had been working on it for over a year, I believe, and had like the first like 6 pages done. Oh my gosh, so inspiring to see this design come together. Look at how little itty bitty. This is page 1. And I don't know how many stitches this is. I think it's getting close to 5,000 between Sarah and I, the start on this. And it's the first time I've ever done like a Heaven and Earth design chart and stitched on gridded fabric and stitched, like, this is a 28 count, and it is 1 strand of DMC over 1 thread. So 1/1 on 28 count. I've never done that before. So it's challenging, but also super exciting and super fun. So I'm excited to get back to this. I want this to come out multiple times throughout the year so I could get like a page finish, you know, that would be incredible, and be able to see what is happening in this part of what I'm stitching. So Amy Stewart is an amazing designer, like an amazing artist is what I should say. And her artwork is stunning, very colorful, very fun. This is all about fantasy and fairy tales. The colors, like colors of every color of the rainbow, right? So in here, what I'm stitching are some books on a shelf. There's a tree branch and an owl and a lantern. And then also you'll see throughout the whole, like, there's sort of like this shelf, this wooden shelf that goes all the way across and throughout the whole design, except for in the middle, there's like a giant castle with a big dragon. Oh, this is gonna be good. I'm excited to get back to this. And I have an app that I use on my my iPad that is Markup XP or something. I never get the name right, and because I'm new to it and I'm just learning how to use it. And I recently had a day with Sarah, Lady Lugana, talking about how to stitch this stitch, and she was showing me some things on the app and different things I could try. So I'm excited to get back to that and to try it out and get the hang of it and make a ton of progress. Okay, so back to an older work in progress. This is Farmer's Market by Told in a Garden that I started September 2023. Tell me how you're liking this way of filming a WIP parade. Is it good to go back and forth? To go from your newest work in progress to your oldest and just work your way to the middle? Let me know if you're enjoying that. This is Farmer's Market. I believe it's stitched on a 32 count Lugana called New Khaki. It's a great color for this stitch. I'm using DMC 2/2. And I want to get back to this summer. This is a summer stitch for me. I love how during the summer months the sun is up longer and you can stitch into the evening with no issues. I can't be the only one that loves that. I know that there are different types of stitchers out there. There are some stitchers who will find they stitch the most during the winter months. You know, they're inside a lot. There's no gardening to be doing. Like, they're inside, staying warm and cozy and stitching away. And I tend to actually stitch more during the summer months. I stitch all year, but I find that the actual stitches that go into the fabric happen the most during the summer. I'm not a gardener, and my husband's getting into, you know, planting tomatoes and peppers and things like that, and he really enjoys like growing it from the seed and doing the whole thing, and I love watching it. But I'm not a gardener. I love looking at flowers, but I guess I just haven't gotten to that point in my life yet where I enjoy that part. Maybe I'll get there because I do enjoy looking at them. This is my next project. This is an owl forest embroidery, another free stitch along called 100 Owls. I started 100 Owls in June 2024, last year. And this is where I am so far. I'm stitching this one again, like the stitch along, doing a part at a time. And I believe I have completed 3 parts and a little bit of part 5. Looking great. I'm stitching it on a 32 count linen. I think it was just called green. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm not sure what the actual name of the fabric was. But I do know it's a 32 count linen. And it's like a pale, it kind of reminds me of like, is it called Water Lily by Witchelt? It looks very similar, the color wise, to that. Looks beautiful. There we go. Okay, an older project. This is Shakespeare's Fairies by Nora Corbett. Mirabilia, and I started this in September 2023. Getting close to being 2 years old. This is another one. This is an all-time favorite design for me. This is MD 103, and I'm just looking to see if I can find a date. 2009. This came out right around the time when I was discovering Mirabilia and starting to buy a chart and starting to stitch up Nora Corbett designs, and I fell in love with this design. However, I was still a young new stitcher, and this was like maybe one day. This was a maybe one day. This looks big. But as you know, I had started my Flosstube and I had started kitting up the projects of the Mirabilias that I had in my collection and starting to stitch them. I knew I had to get this while it was still in print. I would have been very disappointed if I had not gotten this. If it had gone out of print and was too hard to find, I would have been so upset about it. So I kind of went through the website and made a list of my like must-have, must-stitch, and started to buy them, and this was one of them. And then I had decided to stitch it on a different fabric. This one calls for Laurel Green, I believe it's called. Laurel Linen by Witchelt. And I've never used that color before, yet I'm dying to try it. And I want to get it in my hands, and I want to stitch a design that has the Laurel Linen. But for this one, I was like, let me be a little brave and do a Picture This Plus. And this one, I believe, is called, it's a 32 count Picture This Plus called Nocturne. And it, to me, it reminds me of like after the sun goes down and it's starting to get dark out, and I really wanted those lanterns to pop off the fabric and be very vibrant and look like, so the fabric sort of reminded me of midnight, or you know, the dark sky in the summer as the sun has gone down. Isn't it gorgeous? So I have finished stitching, I believe, the dress. The wing, the wing still needs to be back stitched, and her face needs to be back, her skin. So there's still more to do on this side. There are a few like starbursts behind her that I haven't done yet before I move on, or I might just move on to the next girl, I'm not sure. But I was really excited to get this dress in there and those lanterns done. Her wing is sparkly. She's looking great. She's gonna be amazing. They all are, I should say. I really love the top, the front fairy with her like string of lanterns. So pretty. The middle fairy has her dress a slightly different color than the first two. So that'll be kind of fun to get onto the fabric and see how it looks. I think there's a little bit of it stitched right here, but not much. So I'd love to get those colors in there to see how it looks on the fabric, but I think it's gonna look great. Shakespeare's Fairies, yeah. Okay, a few more Mirabilias. This is, I started this right around the same time, I feel like. This one's called, oh, I was kitting them up at the same time. This one's called the Cottage Garden Fairy. I started in May 2024. I love this stitch. I think I made some really great progress on this one last year. Yes, okay. I am stitching this one on a 32 count Picture This Plus called Oaken. And the last time I stitched on this, I was working my way up. This was a design I had started right in the middle. Got some great progress on her dress, on the bow on the back of the dress, and the start of those blue ribbon in her dress. But now I'm at the point where I want to work up and get her skin and her face in so I can see her come together. before I move down and do more of her dress. I want to get her face in and her hair done. I might save the wings for last on this one. I don't know. We'll see. The wings, I think, are epic. She's so pretty. And I love a fairy that's holding a wand. I'm a sucker. Every one of her fairies that has a wand, I'm like, oh, I want to stitch it. There's a few more I don't have that I need to hunt down and get that have the fairy and a wand. I don't know how many there are, but there's quite a few. Okay. Next up, this is Butterfly Fairy. This one I started April 2024. I feel like I might have put this in the wrong section. That's okay. I'm a little mixed up at the middle here, but that's all right. Okay, so this is Butterfly Fairy, 32 count French, country French latte linen by Witchelt is what I'm stitching this on. And here I am. This is a design that I want to move to a scroll frame. I have a couple of them here, and I have one that is large enough for this stitch. Because I have started her at the top of the design and I'm stitching her from the top on my way down, I think she would be a great one to have on a scroll frame. So I'm going to do that soon. Next time I pick this up, she's going to move. I'm going to, sew the fabric onto the scroll bars, and that'll take me some time to do, but once I do it, that'll be it. She'll be on a scroll frame from now on. And I think in doing that, I will be inspired to stitch on her more often. To me, she's like a queen to me. This one could be Butterfly Fairy Queen, because there are a few queen charts and they're all really large and really beautiful, and she just reminds me of one of those. Just the sheer size of her alone, she's quite large. Lots and lots of stitching. So I'm excited to get back to her and get her on scroll frame. She's gonna be fun to stitch. And what's actually kind of fun, there's a local stitcher. We have like a Manitoba Facebook group page that I belong to, and many others do that live around here. And there is a stitcher local here in Winnipeg who is stitching Butterfly Fairy. And she is like, it's inspiring to watch her progress as she's been going along. But she's stitched the whole dress. Everything is done. I think she's working on the last part for her is the wings on the back. She's getting very close to a finish, and every time I see her progress, I'm like, oh, I want to stitch on mine again. Okay, this one is the Woodland Fairy. Maybe I didn't get mixed up. Okay, Woodland Fairy, November 2023. And I'm stitching her on a different fabric. The one that's on here is 32 count Stony Point. And I had gone with, I'm pretty sure this is a water lily, because I had a lot of water lily in my collection from other past stitches. And I think she looks great on the lighter green colored fabric. So I had started this in the center of the design and worked my way up. I did a little bit of her dress, and typically I am a stitcher who will leave the wings. To me, it's the best part. I will typically leave the wings for last. And on this one, I was dying. I saw Amber, Rogue Mama Stitcher. Her and I were doing this as a stitch along, and she had started stitching the wings and getting the colors in there. And I was like, oh, I want to do that too. And I'm really happy that I did decide to do that. I got the shape of her wings in there and some of the colors, some of the Krynic, and I could continue on and finish and stitch the wings if I choose to, or I can come down and do, it's quite a large dress, and I am dying to get the pink color in this. So you see those pink ribbons, there's like a log that she's sitting on. I want to get that pink color in there. That's going to be fun to do. Next time, we'll see. Because I feel like it's like starting. I think it starts here, so I could get to it if I wanted to. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're going to Poppy, which I started in March 2024. Poppy is going to get a finish in 2025. I'm planning for a November finish. We'll see. I'm very, very close. This is part of the Pixie Couture collection. I'm stitching it on a 32 count antique white linen. Look at the color of this. This is amazing. Poppy has been one of those Nora Corbett I've been stitching. This was my first Nora Corbett that I ever stitched. This, I believe, is called Morning Glory, I think. And she was the first one I had done. And when I had purchased her, you know, stitch one at a time, and I kept going, and Poppy was one of the ones that I knew I was going to stitch. And what had happened to me is Poppy went out of print and I didn't have her in my collection. I was like, what? No, I need to stitch Poppy. She's amazing. And I was trying to do a rainbow of pixies. So I needed a red pixie, and she's the only one. And a lovely viewer had reached out to me and had sent me the chart so I could stitch Poppy and complete my set. And she is my last one. I have stitched all the ones that I've wanted to do, and she's my last rainbow pixie. So I have a little bit more stitching to do in her red dress down at the bottom. There's some white stitching to do in her wing. She needs to be back stitched and beaded, and I could do that no problem. I think I could finish her, you know, in the month of November, finish her up. That'd be really, really fun to have my set completed. And then I can start planning what I'm going to do to frame the rest of them. I have 3 framed, and I have 3, this will be my last of the next 3 that I need to frame, and how I'm going to do it. I want to have them all match with the same simple metal frame, but there's some work I need to do. When I had originally got these ones framed, I had them done at separate times. So this was the first 2 that I had done. And then the third one, I made the mistake of taking her to the framer without bringing my other 2 with me. And I had forgotten that when I got the first 2 framed, I had planned for them to be slightly lower in the, like, not a center, right in the smack in the center fairy. I wanted them to be like slightly down, like their toes would be closer to the bottom and have space for the wings up at the top and a little bit more white space. But when I got the third one framed, I forgot to mention that or bring in my examples of what I've done so far. It was so silly. And she was framed right in the middle. And I think I might want to like take her apart, like have the framer take it apart and see if we can move her in the frame. If that frame doesn't fit, I might take that one out and use that frame for Poppy and do what I had planned and reframe that one. So there's a lot of thinking. I want to have them all at the same time, all take them together and come up with a plan and finish the set. I think it's going to be one of those, like, to me, it's a collection that I want to keep together. It's not something I'm ever going to split apart and display together. I think it's going to be amazing. So it's a vision I've had since the beginning of stitching those, getting into cross stitch. It's been a plan of mine all these years. I've been stitching the Nora Corbett designs from around 2007, 2008 was when I started to get into them. So these are plans from long ago. I don't want to mess it up at the end, right? Okay, I have one more. This is the last one that meets us in the middle. This is Storyteller by Teresa Wentzler. I had started this. This was my first start of last year, 2024. I started it in February for the Year of the Dragon stitch and had started it on the Lunar New Year. I'll flip it over on the back. You can kind of see a better picture of the dragon. That's so cool. I love this. I think this is a quite popular design by Teresa Wentzler. A lot of people are stitching this one, and I'm having a lot of fun. I am stitching it on, I believe it is a 28 count platinum linen, the called for fabric. And this was my second Teresa Wentzler. And when I had started it, I really like the year of the dragon. I wanted to get to the dragon. So I had, you know, basically just done a little bit of the outline so I could start counting and get the dragon wing in there. That was where I had started. And I think the next time I pick this up, I really want to get the full shape of the border at the top, like kind of mirror this, go across and down. And the reason why I want to do that is there's more to, I don't want to, I'm kind of stuck in this spot right now where if I were to stitch down here, I'm in between pages. So I need to flip back and forth all the time. And I don't have anything to work off of because I don't have this border stretched all the way down. And same thing with going across. So I think it's important that I get that framework done so that I can double check my counting as I go and stitch more of the design. You know, I could get to that castle in the background that's beside the dragon there. Or I could get some colors of the border in. That could be really fun to do. I have a good chunk of the dragon done on this page that I could move and do more, like get the face of the dragon in, which would be the next page over. That could be fun too. So that's where I am, The Storyteller by Teresa Wentzler. My last work in progress. We did it. An hour and a half, oh my gosh. I think this might be one of my longest videos I've done yet. I hope you had a good time going through all of my works in progress. And I'm just excited about what's to come for the rest of the year. We're 6 months in and on the 6th month, and I have plans for July, for Christmas in July, and then it's summer stitching. So I hope you will come back again soon and spend some more time with me as I go through adding new projects into my WIP pile. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.